Mumbo Rafiki, Nate from Adventure Out Loud here. Today I want to walk through everything you need to pack for Kilimanjaro. Now, one thing I want to make very clear is this is a lot of gear, and you'll probably find it weighs 15, possibly even 20 kilos by the time you have it all. It's also very, very expensive to buy all of it. So if you do not want to spend the money, and I normally say only buy it if you're going to use it again, you can hire nearly all of it here at the base of Mount Kilimanjaro. So I'll run you through a full list. There is also a video that just shows the essentials that you should buy or bring with you. And you can also find a lot of detail about how much it is to hire these things when you're here in Moshi. There's a guide on our website on the under the Before You Go section under Kilimanjaro. So check that out. But here's everything that you need to pack for Mount Kilimanjaro. First of all, you want to start with either a backpack. And if you're going to carry all your gear, you want something reasonable like this. This is a Deuter I've had for 10 years, been up many, many times. 70 litre, fits everything in, it's great. So that's something, if you don't want to spend the money to get one of them, feel free to use something like a sports bag. And what the porters will do is they'll put that inside of a waterproof bag so then it doesn't get wet. If you do use the big backpack option, you do need to think about having a backpack waterproof cover because you don't want all your gear getting wet. Once something gets wet on Kilimanjaro, it probably will not dry. It just won't happen, particularly if you have a trip like we had in December where it rains every day or has snow. So that's really important. So put that down with your backpack. Speaking of rain, it's unlikely you're going to get a lot of rain. The highest chance is through the rainforest on day one and your last day when you're coming back. However, rain gear is crucial, and I highly recommend some Gore-Tex pants and a Gore-Tex jacket if you want to invest the money into that. If you want a cheaper option, you can buy or hire a good thick poncho, and you need to get a thick one, and it needs to be very large because you want it to be able to go over your day pack. So I'd highly recommend, if you can't find one to buy, don't buy a $2 one. You're wasting your money. It'll be useless. Rent one here in Moshi underneath Mount Kilimanjaro. So waterproof gear is really important. I also like to take the precaution, and it also makes it easy to segment the gear I've got, of getting some dry bags and putting stuff in dry bags. Because as I said, once something gets wet, it will not dry on Mount Kilimanjaro. So that's all your wet gear. The next thing is boots. And I cannot stress how important boots are, because your feet are your most valuable asset when you're walking for 5 to 7 days, depending on how long you're taking to do Kilimanjaro. These are a really, really nice pair of Scarpa boots. They're well worn in. Make sure you wear your boots in so that you don't get blisters. They're waterproof, and I've also recently used Snow Seal to waterproof them again, just to make sure. They've got a Gore-Tex lining and they're quite warm, which you need for summit night because it gets very, very cold on summit night. So highly recommend them. What I'd also recommend for when you get to camp is just a pair of joggers that you can put on. Gives your boots a chance to air out so they don't smell so bad, and just a little bit more comfortable to walk around camping. So highly recommend them. For socks, I find that because my feet are so important, I tend to like changing socks at least every couple of days. So what I'd normally have is 5 pairs of trekking socks, and I'd have 1 pair of thermal socks, because your feet will likely freeze a little bit on summit night. So thermal socks will help keep them warm. And on summit night, I would normally wear thermals and 2 to 3 pairs of socks. So you do want to make sure you get your boots a little bit bigger, and as I said, make sure you wear them in before you come and climb. Absolutely crucial. So they're my socks. Now, as I was saying, it gets very cold. Kilimanjaro during the day may be warm enough, particularly on the first few days, for shorts and a t-shirt or a shirt. However, at night, by the time you get to your camp, you want to get into some warm gear. And so what I'd really recommend is some good quality thermals. You can hire thermals in Moshi, but they're not great quality, so at least bring one pair of good thermals, top and bottom. What I normally find on summit night is because it gets down to -20 with your wind factor, I will tend to wear probably 2 tops and possibly even 2 bottoms. I will also bring a 3rd one just in case it is really, really cold. So they're all my thermals. Cannot stress how important they are. So that's part of keeping me warm. The other thing that's really important is a fleece layer. Now, these are not overly expensive. They do the job. You can definitely get better ones that will do the job better, but a pair of track pants, they're $10 or something like that, definitely does the job. And then all I'll have over the top of them will be the waterproof layer that I've got, which is also windproof. So I'd have 2 thermals, 1 tracksuit pant, and the waterproof layer. It works perfect. On the top, I'd have 2 thermals, a fleece, possibly a down, and this one's not the greatest quality, but with the fleece and the thermals, it definitely does the job. If you live in a cold environment, I would highly recommend the Mont Icicle. I just bought it for my most recent trek up Kilimanjaro. They're expensive, but they are incredible. And you can see it's nice, thick jacket that will keep you warm. And I found with the thermals, the fleece, and this, that's all I needed. However, if you don't want to spend that money, two thermals, a fleece, a down, and then a ski jacket will definitely keep you warm. And it seems excessive to have that much gear. However, you don't want to get to summit night and then not summit because you're freezing cold. You're best to have too much rather than not enough. It's very hard to get it up there once you're up there. So that's all your stuff for the body. Next to my hands, I really love these cotton inners. Got them from Kathmandu for $10, 6-8 years ago, fantastic. I wear them during the day a lot of days to protect my hands from sunburn and windburn, and I also wear them inside of these really nice OR gloves that I bought, and these are fantastic, really nice and warm. You can hire them, however, they're not necessarily great quality when you hire them here, so I would recommend bringing a good pair of gloves. Your hands and your feet are likely to get a little bit frozen if it's a really cold night. Next is my head. Now, I like this because it covers my whole head, keeps it nice and warm, and if I get too hot, I can open it up. So that's really fantastic. Highly recommend that. And then around camp, I tend to wear something like this, just to keep me warm. If you want a cheaper option, I don't have it here, but you can wear a balaclava and a scarf, equally as good, and much, much cheaper. So that's a good option. To sleep in, you'll want a sleeping bag. This one's quite old. This is 10 years old now, so you can get much smaller and better quality than this now. -10 at least is what I'd recommend. And really important, if you've only got a -10 or even a -5, that's going to get cold, is a thermal liner. This Cedar Summit thermal liner is really, really good. I've used it a lot of times. They say it adds 15 degrees to your sleeping bag. That's not true. At least I don't think it is. It will add enough temperature to keep you warm. As I said, this is a -8 that's 10 years old, and with this, I tend to be warm enough. So that's all I use when I'm sleeping on Kilimanjaro. The sleeping mat, your company should provide that, and definitely if you travel with Adventure Out Loud, we provide a sleeping mat for you to sleep on, so you shouldn't need to bring one of them. Clothes-wise, I tend to wear one pair of pants and bring a spare one just in case one were to get wet. Hiking pants are good. they're breathable, they're semi-waterproof, really good for Kilimanjaro, and then probably 2 pairs of shirts is all that I would need. I would not bring a whole heap of clothes. You'll wear the same clothes every day most of the time. And then obviously some underwear. Also recommend a towel. You'll find that your porters tend to bring you a warm bowl of water at the end of the day, every day, and it's really nice to just have a little wash and a little towel down. Equally, love these things. Baby wipes are fantastic. After a hard day walking, fantastic to get in your tent, strip down, baby wipe shower, put on your warm clothing so you don't get cold once the sun goes down. Fantastic. You can get them really, really cheap. So they're your main things. Also, I'd highly recommend you bring a hat. It can get very sunny up there and you will get sunburns, so sunscreen and a hat are very important. Probably even a wide brim hat if you prefer that. It'll be more safe than just using a cap. Highly recommend you bring a head torch. Not only will it be useful on summit night when you're climbing for 6 or 7 hours through the night, but also useful to get out of your tent to pee at night. So very, very good. Water, it's very important that you drink 3 to 4 litres of water on the mountain, and at a minimum 3 litres. You have to drink at least 3 litres to stay hydrated. If you don't stay hydrated, you're at a higher risk of getting altitude sickness, and then obviously you won't be able to continue your climb. I highly recommend water bottles. You have to bring reusable water bottles. The Tanzania government has a great environmental initiative that means that you'll cop a $50 fine US for every disposable water bottle you bring. So do not bring disposable water bottles. The reason why I recommend water bottles over camelbacks is because camelback tubes tend to freeze. I've got a great video on water as well, so check that out. But water bottles are great because you can turn them upside down. If anything freezes, it tends to be this bit here, and that's why you turn them upside down. If you have them that way, your mouthpiece will freeze and then you can't get to your water. So water bottles, 3 to 4 litres would be a minimum. You also want to bring a pair of sunglasses. There is a risk that you will get, or that you may get snow blindness when you're at that kind of altitude with that kind of exposure to the sun. Highly recommend UV sunglasses. Toenail clippers are a lifesaver. You're climbing to almost 6,000 meters above sea level. On the way back down, if your nails aren't trimmed, they will rub up against the front of your boots, they will die, and it's incredibly painful. Highly recommend you clip your nails before you do summit night. Lip balm, really good to keep your lips from getting windburnt. I use pawpaw ointment, cheap, effective, wonderful stuff. Also, you can use it on your face and so on. I carry a first aid kit, so if you come with Adventure Out Loud, and I've got a bigger one than this, you don't need to bring it. I'd highly recommend you bring your own medications on Kilimanjaro. However, bandages and those types of things we'll have if you climb with us. Check with your guide if you're climbing with someone else. Rehydrate, really, really good, particularly around summit night when you're low on energy. Really good hit just to have some rehydrate to make sure you keep hydrated. Pretty cheap. You can get just packs of these. They're really good. I use them all the time. Bring your toiletries and your medications, and that's pretty much all you want for Kilimanjaro. Now, that's a lot of stuff. So as I said, if you don't want to pay the money to buy it all, you can rent it. You'll find approximate pricing on our website under the Before You Go section. There's also a link to a video that shows the most essential things you should bring with you. However, all this will add up to about 15 kilos. That's what you want to shoot for. You don't want to go over 15 kilos if you can help it. So have a great climb. Hope to see you with Adventure Out Loud. We do so much with safety, and if you climb with us, we also do a full check of your equipment before you climb. If you don't have anything, we'll take you to a shop so that you can hire it. But really, really important, I cannot stress this enough, make sure you have enough stuff to keep you warm for summit night. If you're covered for that, chances are you'll have enough and you'll get by for all the other days as long as you have wet gear to keep yourself dry. Cold gear, wet gear, most important. Have a great climb. Kwaheri, hopefully see you on the mountain. See you guys.